Continuation of the previous video about zoological nomenclature. Next is about objective synonyms or nomenclatural synonym, obligate synonymy or homotypic synonymy. It refers to taxa with the same type and same rank, species group taxa with the same type specimen, genus group taxa with the same type specimen, species or family group taxa with the same type genus. Objective synonyms are common at the rank of genera because of various reasons. Two genera may contain the same type species. Subjective synonymy, taxonomic synonymy, or heterotypic synonymy. In the case of subjective synonyms, there is no such shared type. So the synonymy is open to taxonomic judgment, meaning that there is room for debate. One researcher might consider the two types to refer to one and the same taxon, another might consider them to belong to different taxa. At the species level, subjective synonyms are common because of an unexpectedly large range of variation in a species or simple ignorance about an earlier description may lead a biologist to describe a newly discovered specimen as a new species. Then homonymy. In biology, a homonym is a name for a taxon that is identical in spelling to another such name that belongs to a different taxon. The rule in the International Code of Zoological Nomenclature is that the first such name to be published in the senior homonym and is valid. Any other are junior homonyms and must be replaced with new names. For example, Cuvier proposed the genus Echidna in 1797 for Spiny and Eta. However, Forster had already published the name Echidna in 1777 for a genus of moray eels. Forster's use this has priority, with Cuvier's being junior homonym. It is, however, possible that if a senior homonym is archaic and not in prevailing usage, it may be declared in nomen oblitum and rendered unavailable, while the junior homonym is preserved as nomen protectum. Homonyms are of two types. Primary homonym, two or more identical species group names refer to the same nominal genus when first published. Rana tigrana Linnaeus 1756 and Rana tigrana Linnaeus in 1795. Then secondary homonym, two or more identical species group names refer to the same nominal genus as a result of subsequent transference, reclassification, or combination of one or more taxa from other genera. So Fruticula riparia Duffer 1884 is a conjunct with Libidura riparia Pallas. Just read this. Then next is about type method or typification. In nomenclature, an object that serves as a basis for the name of this taxon is known as the type. The methodology used for fixing a type is known as the typification, and the type may or may not be the most typical member of this taxon. It only fixes the name of particular taxon, and the two are permanently and intimately associated. In taxonomy, a species is held to have only one correct name, and the type associated with that name is the type of that species. The same type. The basis for taxonomic description, and taxonomic description contains mainly the features of the type. The type of a genus is the type species, and the type of family is the genus. The type helps the reviser to find out the real features of the species when the original description of the species is poor or inadequate. The type of a species belongs to science when it is published, and it no longer becomes the sole property of the author. Every bona fide taxonomist is entitled to examine the type when required. The type series of a species consists of all the specimens on which the original author bases his species except any that he considers as variants. And classification of type. Fernald in 1940 grouped types to three categories: primary type, proterotype, primary type, specimen on which original description is based, holotype for example. Then supplementary type, it is the described or figured specimen used by any author to correct or supplement knowledge of a previously defined species. For example, neotype. Then icotype, typical specimen that have not been used in published description or figure but consist of materials with which the author has worked or those that were collected to form the original locality. Mayer et al. In 1953 and Blackwelder in 1967 gave accounts of several kinds of types. However, the Code of Zoological Nomenclature recognizes only the following 6 types. Holotype. It is a single specimen collected by the original author to represent the taxon and so designated or indicated as the type at the time of publication of the original description. Then paratype. After labeling the holotype, any remaining specimens of the holotype series can be labeled paratypes in order to identify the individuals of the original type series. Then leptotype. If a type species contains more than one specimen and a holotype has not been designated, any subsequent worker may designate one of the species as a leptotype. Lectotype. Then syntype. If the author did not designate a holotype or lectotype, but based his original description of a new species on single specimen or group of specimens, they are known as syntypes. Then new types. If no holotype, lectotype, or syntype is known to exist or has been lost, then the first reviser of the group may select a specimen which is fully fitting to the original description of the species. A type specimen chosen by this manner is called new type. Allotype. According to the rule 72A of zoological code, the term allotype may be used to paratype a specimen of the opposite sex to the holotype. Most recent workers have abandoned this term in their works. So the code of botanical nomenclature recognizes the following kinds of types: holotype, paratype, lectotype, syntype, and new type. All these are the same as for zoological nomenclature. In addition to the above, the following types are also recognized by the botanical code. They are isotype. This is a specimen which is a duplicate of the holotype with the same collection data of the holotype. Then eptype, a specimen or illustration selected to serve as an interpretative type. Then the holotype, leptotype, or new type, all original materials associated with the validly published name, cannot be critically identified for the purpose of application of the name of the taxon. Other kinds of types: apotype, a specimen of a species not of the original type series upon which subsequent description is based. Then autotype, any specimen identified by the describer as an illustration of his species. Then chirotype, type specimen upon which a manuscript name is based. Then genotype, type species of genus. Then geotype, specimen from type locality. Then haplotype, it is a species which acts as a generic type by a single reference. Then homeotype, a specimen compared with a type by a person other than the describer and determined by him as a conspecific with the type. Then idiotype, specimen named by the author of a species after comparison with the type but not collected from type locality. Then metatype, specimen compared with the type by the author of a species and determined by him as conspecific with the type. And monotype, haplotype based on single species. Plesiotype, any specimen compared with the described or named species by a person other than the describer. Then pseudotype, type species of genus by erroneous designation. Topotype, specimen collected from the exact locality of the original type. Then typotype, if the type of an author is based on the description previously is published for another author, then the species specimen on which earlier author's description was based is the type of the later author. Then type designation. An author, when publishing a new species, should provide the following data concerning the holotype: the exact locality and other information on the labels of the specimen, gender of the specimen, its developing stage, caste if the taxon include more than one caste. If the case of parasites, name of the host species is also provided. The name of the collector, collection in which the holotype is present, repository, and the collection number or register number assigned to it. Then altitude of the type locality or depth in meters below sea level from which the holotype is collected. In the case of fossil species, geological age and stratogeological geographical position of the fossil. In the case of fossil species, geological age and stratogeographical position of the fossil, size of holotype or size of one or more relevant parts of organs, labels used in the type series. For quick recognition, labels with different colors are fixed on types: holotype red or pink, allotype green, paratype yellow. So with the help of these 3 videos, we learned about zoological nomenclature, main laws or principles associated with this topic, and next about typological species concept or just type species. Thank you for listening.